very good evening to you, our dear viewers. Thank you for staying tuned on Race TV. I welcome you on Business and Sport. I am Jackie Lingla, ready to update you what is happening currently in the business sector in Uganda. Now, we have seen the government of Uganda always carrying out initiatives that improve the technology of Uganda, but today on Business and Sport I bring you one of the largest computer and Wi-Fi distributor companies in East Africa, not only in the Ugandan market but in East Africa, to let us know more about networking and also communications. A very good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm very good.
We're very delighted to have you today on Race TV.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to SIMPLIFI Networks.
Yeah, so could you introduce yourself and also give us just a feedback of what you do, what does the company do, so that the viewers out there can know what exactly we are talking about?
Yes. So my name is Ken Stover, and I'm the CEO and Group Managing Director of SIMPLIFI Networks. We are a master distributor of networking and communications products across East and Central Africa. We're in our Ugandan offices today, here in Bugalobi, Uganda. So we're one of the providers of Wi-Fi equipment, fiber optic equipment, network and communications equipment.
Okay, so SIMPLIFI Networks, when did you start in Uganda? Can you just give us a brief background of your journey in Uganda and why did you choose Uganda? And also, before we get into details, I would want to know, yes, East Africa is a bit wide now. We have many countries that have joined us currently, but how many outlets in these countries, how many of those countries do you already have branches within the East African bloc?
Yeah, currently we have an office here in Kampala and we have an office in Nairobi, Kenya, and these two offices then handle all of the other countries. So like in our Ugandan office, we handle South Sudan, we handle Congo, we handle Rwanda, Burundi, and things like that. So actually you've timed it perfectly. Yesterday was SIMPLIFI's 9th anniversary.
Wow.
So it says we've been here in Uganda for 9 years, as well as the same time in Kenya. And we've been very excited about being here. I started SIMPLIFI 9 years ago when I was working in Tanzania, and I had a trip. I was working there on a USAID project, and I had a trip up to Gulu. And I fell in love with Uganda, I fell in love with the people. I had somebody said, come back and create opportunities. So I came back a couple months later in January of 2014, and we started SIMPLIFI Networks.
Okay, so when you started, what are some of the few challenges you found in the market?
Yeah. Well, some of the challenges that in the early days, it was just starting from zero. So we were entrepreneurs. We started from nothing, and we've grown the company up to where we're at today. Some of the biggest challenges, as you can imagine, is just growing the business. And some of it is corruption, some of the different things that go on in the marketplace. We've been very happy and excited that we've been able to continuously grow SIMPLIFI, adding new product lines every single year, adding new markets, adding new capabilities.
So what are some of the products that you have on the market, apart from Wi-Fi and maybe distributing computers? What are some of the things that you have had in this company that are actually having you profitable in the market?
Yeah. So we're one of the leading providers of access points and networking and communications equipment. So think about Wi-Fi, think about switches, think about routers. We also do fiber optic. Everything that you need, fiber to the home, fiber to the business, we store here locally. Our business model is to make sure that we have products here locally, so that if somebody needs something, probably 90% or more of the time, we can provide it the same day.
So when you say locally, do you manufacture these things from here?
Yeah, no, we're not a manufacturer, we're actually distributors, we're master distributors. So we buy directly from everybody that we supply. So Ubiquity and Microtech and Sopto, we buy very large quantities, put them in a container, and then ship them to our offices here in Kampala. And that, a couple of things. One is we have a direct relationship, but it also provides best support, but also the best prices. So we can offer some of the best prices of anybody for these products. So our goal is to continuously drive the communications and network prices down further and further, and that way we can have better and lower prices for ISPs, telcos, networking communications in our market.
Okay, now for the 9 years you have been in the market, What are some of the key successes that you have registered as a company? Because I know, of course, the road in terms of entrepreneurship is a bit bumpy. You get challenges here and here and hardships there and there. But what are some of those key successes that you have registered as SIMPLIFI Networks?
I think some of the key things is we've been able to understand the market and see the directions of technology. So we've been really good about watching where technology is going to go and then bringing in the right products at the right time. For example, our recent product, these are small form factor computers. Okay. This is a full computer that basically can mount on top of a monitor, on the back of a monitor, so that you can have a full computer now at a much, much lower cost, but a much, much lower power as well.
Okay. Yeah, that is the CEO of SIMPLIFI Networks, Kenneth Stober. One of the largest computer and Wi-Fi distributors in East Africa. They have outlets in Nairobi, and also they have an outlet here in Uganda. Of course, also they are distributing in various countries here in the East African bloc. And in case you need to know more information, just stay tuned on Business and Sport. And now, Kenneth, I need to know, of course, we know that Uganda's population, the hugest percentage of it is still the informal sector, and Ugandans are still adopting slowly to new technology or technology at large. How have you been able to penetrate through this kind of market?
You're absolutely right. We have one of the youngest populations in the world, and it's actually, we can use that as a benefit because I think the younger population is more willing to embrace new technologies faster.
Okay.
I think the challenges that we have is how do we bring the cost down, but also make sure that we can bring the technology to all parts of Uganda and East Africa.
Okay.
So it's going to be one of the challenges is how do we continuously drive costs down and also bring the equipment and the technologies out.
So in Uganda, you've mentioned some of the places. Just a recap, how many districts have you been able to supply this Wi-Fi to in Uganda?
Yeah.
Just briefly.
Yeah, we pretty much supply across all of Uganda and, like I said, East Africa. We actually aren't the ones who are putting the Wi-Fi in. So our customers like Airtel and Block Telecom, they buy equipment from us, and it's their infrastructure. So they install the equipment and put it into their infrastructure. So we're not actually out there installing the equipment. It's just our equipment that's providing the infrastructure.
So also, I need to know, this company has existed for over 9 years now. You're counting 10. What are some of those, how has the community benefited? Have you done any a corporate social responsibility? Have you given back to the community at the end of the day? As you celebrating your 9 years, how has your community around benefited along the journey?
Yeah, no, we value highly of giving back to the community, and there's one way to do it is providing jobs and opportunities. That's probably priority one. Okay. Our staff is 100% Ugandan. So we're giving back to the community, it helps their families, but also we have many contractors, subcontractors, people we buy food from, all the different pieces. They all benefit by having SIMPLIFI here. Okay. On the direct community service, just last month or last year, late last year, we provided equipment to a hospital in Jinja called Whispers. We donated some equipment. Whispers is a private facility in Jinja, and we provided Wi-Fi, computers, tablets to this facility so it would make their hospitals run faster and smoother. We also have things in the immediate community. There's a small wooden bridge just down the street from us that all of our staff uses, and we help the community rebuild that, replace it as needed. We help with LC1 buildings here in the community, in the direct community.
Okay, that's awesome. And now still moving on, you have existed for over 9 years here in Uganda. What do you see yourself in 5 years to come?
Interesting question. I think we want to continuously grow SIMPLIFI. We've got new products that we're launching. In fact, in the next 2 months, you'll see new products coming from SIMPLIFI. Again, the goal is to lower the cost of technology in the East African and Ugandan market. But we also want to start doing more private-public partnerships. So, for example, we're working on providing a fiber optic lab in Uganda, partnering with some of the universities here so that they can have the students, when they come out of school, learn best practices for installation of fiber optic.
Okay.
We've been working with McCary University for many years. In fact, when I first came here, I actually taught at McCary, telecom engineering, but we also do programs there. So the goal is when they come out of school that they have the marketable skills so they can get jobs easier and they have good skills then provide to the community.
Okay, that is interesting there. Of course, now there we're seeing that you're directly contributing to developing the human capital here in Uganda in terms of equipping them with technology skills. But 2020 was a bit a challenging year for every business in Uganda, but you did not close your doors and pack up your bags and go back home as a business. So I need to know, what are some of those key lessons you learned from the COVID-19 total lockdown, when of course the entire supply chain was disrupted? I get to know information that you get some of these equipments directly shipped into Uganda at a low cost and then distribute them off. But in that time, what are some of the key lessons that you have learned as a business, such that in case such a scenario happens years to come, you do not experience the same thing?
Yeah, I think COVID was incredibly disruptive for everybody. As you said, from not only the local stuff all the way to supply side to shipping, everything was disrupted. Because people were staying at home, the need for internet increased dramatically, which means the need for our equipment increased dramatically. Sadly, I couldn't staff fully at my office. I didn't have the ability to drive. I actually rode a bicycle every day to work just so that we'd keep the office open. We had some staff who worked at home doing invoices, but we kept the office open for the first COVID. Second COVID lockdown, we actually got some permits and we were able to have the staff a little bit better. What I did learn from that though is we need to make sure that we have things in place to make sure people can work at home easily and successfully. We need to be able to adjust very dynamically in some of these cases. I think outside of our company, a lot of people realize not everybody has to come to the office every day. And I think we're seeing more work at home, we're seeing more education at home, we're seeing more things like that. So I think it's really been interesting to watch that dynamic. As far as the chip shortages and stuff, those continue. We're still struggling with a lot of getting stuff ordered, getting it into the country. We've added product lines just to help supplement some of that. That still is a challenge.
Okay, how is your brand different? Because I'm sure that you're not a monopoly kind of business. So how is your brand different from the rest of your competitors in the market?
Well, I think the biggest issue is we're master distributors, or we're distributors for these products, which means we work directly with the manufacturers. There's not that many people here in Uganda that have that ability. We have a little bit of competition in Kenya, Dubai, some of the competition, but there's the fact that we have that direct relationship helps us dramatically as far as getting product into the market fast and quick and easily.
Yeah, that is what we have for you so far now. Those of you who are hearing SIMPLIFI Networks for the first time right now, you know exactly what they do, and in case you are interested in knowing more information, definitely you can come here at their offices in Bugolobi and find out more information. Their gadgets or their technology is very, very affordable and of quality. Now, moving on, Mr. Stomba, what are some of the new technologies that we have had globally that you are able to bring within Uganda?
Right. Well, one of the things that we've launched recently, and it's been around for a while, is like fiber optic. So you're seeing now more and more need for fiber optic. As we need higher speed communications and more reliable communications, fiber optic is the solution. So what you'll have is you'll be having fiber cables running across the streets, and then they'll connect in and run into your home, and now people will have that connection. So people like Airtel and MTN and Zuku now have fiber optic running to your home, and this is how you're able to do Netflix or do all your internet or education, Zoom calls now from your home. It's a little much more reliable. It's the capability of having higher and higher speeds.
Okay.
As we talked earlier, we were talking about the computers too. You're seeing now miniaturization of technology. So we're seeing one of the challenges sometimes we have here is power. And if we can provide technology at a lower and lower power source or a power requirement, that can help us in some of these issues. So you're seeing, as I mentioned, small form factor computers that will lower the power. So instead of running a 100-watt device, you can now run a 5-watt computer and get the same capabilities, in fact, even better than some of the stuff that you have today.
Okay. So I'm wondering, you have talked about the fiber drums and how people can get the internet in their homes. How is it possible that we normally carry these gadgets, but we do not know how the network really works or the Wi-Fi gets onto our phone? Can you just explain to the viewers who are like me out there, how is the Wi-Fi distributed generally, the different versions, and which one among the versions is the best for a low income earner?
I'm not sure that there's one that's better than others. I think that they all have different areas. So like example, your phone. You have a SIM in your phone, you can get data. I think that's the most common one that's used in Uganda because it's mobile. There's many towers out there, Airtel, MTN, Leica, they all have that capability that I can have data and I can travel around with the data. The other option is wireless, where I can have a tower with a wireless antenna that can beam into your house. You would have another antenna at your house. That's been going on for a number of years. The final one would be is fiber optic, that you can actually have fiber optic that we talked about. But the challenge that we have with internet is obviously the cost of internet. Now, part of them is taxes, but a lot of it is where the data is stored. So the closer the data is to the consumer, the lower the cost is. So for example, if I'm doing a Google search, I want the Google search as close as I can to me because it's the least costly. If I have to do a Google search but it's not in Uganda, then I have to actually go to Uganda, then I have to go to Mombasa, then I have to go to France to get my data. That's it's an undersea fiber cable that's extremely expensive to operate and to run, which means that cost of that to the ISP is more expensive. So what you're seeing is with the push for the ISPs and the telcos to bring the data closer and closer to us to bring the cost down. And that's why you've seen the cost reductions of internet over the last 9 years I've been here. We've seen a massive reduction because we're bringing the data closer and closer. As we bring it closer, the prices will continue to go down and the prices for you will go down.
Okay, now you have been in Uganda, you've been in Kenya. If you to compare the two markets, what is the difference between the two markets as you've been operating for the 9 years?
They're substantially different markets. The product mix that we sell in Kenya is substantially different than we sell in Uganda. Here in Uganda, we do a lot of work with design, helping customers with design capabilities as well. Kenya, it's a little bit more of a mature market, and I think technology is a little bit more advanced. They have a bigger fiber optic network, they have a stronger 4G network around the country, but there's still a need for all of these things.
So are you planning to have any outlet in any other country apart from the two?
We've looked at that in the past. We've looked at Dar es Salaam in the past, and we haven't finished it, or we haven't completed that project, but that's one area that we're very interested in going into. But most of the time right now, if somebody from Dar es Salaam needs something, they can get it from our Nairobi office or can get it from our Uganda office, and it's pretty easy to ship back and forth.
Yeah, so Mrs. Stover, we have been hearing you on and on state that you're making sure that these commodities or these products are very affordable to the Ugandan market. But of course, we have seen so many other products that are a lot cheaper on the Ugandan market. So how are you really managing this? Because we have seen products that come from other countries that are known as good. as the ones that we would want to have, but we cannot afford them. But these ones look cheaper, but they're counterfeit. So how are we able to identify that this is really counterfeit? And then also, how have you maneuvered to still remain resilient in the market with these kind of products?
Yeah. No, there's a couple challenges. The one challenge is exactly what you say is counterfeit. The other challenge is there's a lot of people will buy products in Dubai, they'll put them in a bag, sneak them into Uganda, not paying the taxes, and now I'm having to compete with somebody who is paying no VAT, no clearing costs, none of that. I have to compete. As I mentioned, we only rep legitimate, real products so that we know that all of our products are legit. We actually hire people to go out into the market and look for counterfeit type products.
Okay.
And so that's one of the key things. It's always going to be a challenge. We hope that we can keep our prices to the point that we can still have affordable, real products in the market.
Okay.
But here's a great example. We were buying some HP keyboards, and we went into the market. This actually is a keyboard from Dubai, and it came in, and within 10 seconds we knew that it was a fake keyboard. And people said, how? And it's when you read the back of it, they can't spell keyboard properly. That's the quickest way you know that that's a fake product. The sad thing is these were coming in by the distributors out of Dubai at very large quantities, and you can buy these in the market today. They're $2 or $3 less costly than it would be for a real product, so people will end up buying those. We've reported this to UNBS, we report it to URA. We hopefully can keep pushing to get real products in, but it's always going to be a challenge because everybody wants the lowest cost product.
Now, still moving on that very note, what are some of the initiatives that you would want the government to carry on to support the small and medium enterprises, or to make this Ugandan market more conducive for investors? But we have seen so many businessmen and investors want to invest in Uganda, but along the way we have not really gotten to that level where we are seeing at least maybe 50% of the Ugandan market has been, dominated by investors, and we're getting this kind of money from various companies that are coming through. What are some of the things that you want the government of Uganda to address to make this market conducive for investing?
Well, it's just like any market around the world, the best thing you can do is offer incentives to people coming into the market. If you want to have an area that's grown, and I've seen the 9 years I've been here, ICT seems to be one of the top things that we need to invest in. But what that means is we have to offer investments. So for example, you see tax incentives going to all these different markets, but you rarely see it to the ICT market. If that's an important one, that's how you can fix it. We all want to pay our fair share of taxes and all that kind of stuff, but if you want to increase investments, you offer things that you can do. Tax incentives would be a great way of doing it. How do we lower the cost of financing? That's probably the number one problem that people have as entrepreneurs, as businesses, is how to finance. But outside investors typically don't have that issue. They're usually bringing in money and want to invest. Offer them incentives. Things like work permits. I paid $2,500 a year for a work permit, even though I bring in a lot of taxes and I supply jobs in Uganda. That discourages investors from wanting to come in. Create incentives for good reasons for people to come here.
Okay, I think you've really heard it from the horse's mouth. That is the CEO of SIMPLIFI Networks, Kenneth Stober, one of the largest computer and Wi-Fi distributors in East Africa. Now, Mr. Stober, can you give your closing remarks to the viewers who are watching us on Business and Sport today? What do you want them to take home?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for coming to our office. We really enjoyed your time with us today. Thank you for the time and the discussions that we have. SIMPLIFI, as I mentioned, just turned 9 years old this last week. We're super excited about that. We see many more years, I think, in this market. We see a lot of growth potential. We see a lot of opportunities. We want to continuously to create opportunities both in the public and private sectors.
Okay.
The other thing that we're super proud of is we're an ICT company. We have over 50% of our staff is female.
Okay.
Now, people like Microsoft and Apple, they can't say that at all. Their numbers are much lower, and we're very proud that we're over 50% female. The other thing I have to say is we are 100% corruption free.
Wow.
So SIMPLIFI has been in existence for 9 years. I know a lot of people say you have to be corrupt to be successful. I can attest that you do not have to be corrupt to be successful. We're 100% corruption free. We tolerate zero corruption, and we're a successful company. So I encourage other businesses out there to look at that as opportunities.
Okay, that is what we have for you today on Business and Sports. Thank you so much for always following us. We have had a lot of information about networking and communications from SIMPLIFI Networks, the CEO, that is Mr. Stoba Kenneth, giving us more details of how this whole entire value chain works. Now, of course, I will not go further than that. Stay tuned on Race TV. Till next time, next Friday at 8 p.m. to 8:30. A very good evening.